Well, we are always excited to be joined by the Notre Dame women's basketball head coach, Niele Ivey. How are you this morning, Niele?
I'm great. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good. Going into your fourth year as head coach, of course, at your alma mater, the reigning ACC Coach of the Year. It's funny. Um, so I get up this morning. I've got my cup of coffee. I get out my phone and I'm kind of scrolling through social media, and this ad pops up for DirecTV, and it's none other than Niele Ivey and Jaden Ivey, of course, of the NBA. Is that kind of the ultimate mom moment, I guess, to be able to record a national TV commercial with your son?
Absolutely. We taped that this summer, and it was just like a full production, a full day, and they grabbed a lot of snippets from that session, and it's so cool to kind of watch it because we had so much fun together doing that.
I was wondering, like if it seemed like the kind of ad where they just sort of let the camera roll and let you guys kind of go back. There was like you guys were doing rapid roll and because I ended up, the first one popped up and then you go down this rabbit hole and there's these others. The funniest one, I don't know if you've seen all of them, but there's the one where Jaden asks you who your least favorite coach is,
Yes.
and you abstain from answering, but they go ahead and he says it anyway for you. I thought that was hilarious.
It was so funny. I was like, Jaden, no.
That's right. So let me ask you this: if you don't want to answer who your least favorite coach is, what's your favorite rivalry that you play?
Gosh, I have as a player or as a
Either
coach now.
one.
As a player for sure, UConn. I think like that was like the greatest rivalry of women's
Uh-huh.
basketball, especially in my time in the Big East. So that was always so much fun. And as a coach, I feel like right now it's a little bit of Louisville. I think that, just being in the ACC, I think those matchups are just incredible, especially with the way that both universities pack the arena. I think it's just like it's always a super physical and exciting matchup.
It obviously was even a lot more fun last year. As a head coach, you got your first two wins over Louisville, and you do it in dramatic fashion on the home floor, and then you went down there on the road to close out the regular season, and you beat them as well. And of course, you beat UConn last year as well. So again, I guess maybe kind of checking milestones off. I mean, how important or how important is it just for the program to kind of tick those off and get those W's back in the column?
Yeah, I think it's super important for the program, knowing that those are just incredible matchups and having so much history with both programs. I think like that's one of those signature wins, especially going against a Hall of Fame coach like Gino. I personally have a lot of respect for him, just because of his success and the tradition that he's established at Connecticut. But this what he's done for women's basketball, it's honestly incredible. So I think those are great milestones for me as coach to be able to have those wins and to be able to share that with my team as a head coach.
Well, and Purdue used to be a big rival of yours, and you guys used to play them every year. Of course, you beat them in the national championship game in your last year, and they're coming back on the schedule this year. Is it kind of exciting to renew that for like home and home the next couple of years?
It is. I feel like when you have in-state rivalries or past rivalries and programs that are up and coming again, because I think Katie Gerald, she's doing a great job of kind of rebuilding that program. They've been successful for a very long time, and it's exciting for me to watch her as a former player taking over that program. And
Sure.
I would say also IU, Terry's doing an incredible job there. So being able to have that in-state matchup, I think, is great for the state of Indiana. We're known for basketball. We're a state of hoops. Indiana hoops is so rich
Yeah.
in tradition. So I'm excited to have Purdue back on the schedule. And honestly, a little bit for me, I would have loved Jaden to have still been at Purdue with this, with this renewed schedule. But
That's true.
I have a lot of love for Purdue with what they've done for my son.
Absolutely. You go into year 4 now as a head coach here at Notre Dame, and I mean, it's flown by for one. I don't know, but you're ACC Coach of the Year last year. You win the ACC last year. As you kind of sit back now, getting ready for year 4, what's all that mean to you?
Yeah, I feel like when I'm in it, I don't even get a chance to really appreciate all that, we've kind of accomplished. And I'm so grateful for it because I think when you're in it, you're just like, I'm moving through had to work through some adversity, some injuries and things like that. So you don't get a chance to really sit back and enjoy the moment. So I kind of did that this summer. Like, wow, just what an incredible year. I want this year to kind of be present in all that we're doing. But just having a year like last year, even going through the adversity, it's just it was just awesome. I'm just grateful. And for year 4, I'm really excited about the team. I'm excited to go to war with my team. I'm really excited we've had like incredible preseason practices have been great, and just seeing the improvement from the summer to now. So I'm really excited just to be able to play someone else. We've been playing against the practice guys for so long. It's going to be exciting to get started and start playing against someone else.
It's going to be here pretty quickly. And, you've got 4 newcomers on this team. And I guess what's maybe the biggest difference when fans see this team for the first time? Like, what's the biggest difference you think they'll notice from last year's team to this year's team?
Yes, I think, Kylie Watson, number one, she's really improved, and she's in incredible shape. She's playing with a ton of confidence, and she's really worked on her game. And I think that's probably going to be the first thing that people say that are impressed when they watch us. Is like, wow, Kylie Watson, losing Ebo, she's been like my dominant post. Right. And I'm so excited for what you guys are going to see this year with her. And I would say just overall, I think our pace is going to be fast. I think it's something that I talk about a lot, wanting to play fast. Mm-hmm. Adding Hannah Hidalgo, she's helping with that. And eventually adding Olivia back. I think you're still going to see that up-tempo style. And that I'm really excited about that. And I'm just trying to be better defensively, to be general. Like that's something we've really worked on this summer, is try to step up our defense, make more of an impact on the ball, and maybe even in extending it.
You mentioned Hannah Hidalgo, and of course she's the incoming freshman point guard, and she will be, like kind of waiting to see what happens with Olivia and that kind of thing. She'll be the point guard, going into the season. For those who haven't seen Hannah yet, how would you describe that style of play? I think your smile kind of indicates part of it.
Yeah, she's just electric. She's an incredibly fast, explosive point guard, very high IQ, and it's tenacious defensively. And she just plays with a lot of emotion. She plays with a lot of passion. She plays extremely hard, and the way that she defends is really contagious. And so she's kind of raised our level of defense because of the way that she defends. She defends 94 feet. She loves defense. And so, like I said, she's really it's contagious, the energy that she brings defensively. And I feel like that's really trickled over on our team.
When Olivia went out last year, the biggest quandary that you had, is now who is the point guard? And you had Sonia and KK kind of filling in there. So as long as Olivia's out and it is Hannah kind of running the show, who's the number 2 point guard, I guess, going into the season?
Yes, well, I know Sonia will hate me saying this, but Sonia's been doing a great job of helping. It's honestly point guard by committee. Without when Hannah's not in the game or not in the scrimmage. So I asked Anna, AD, we call her AD, Anna DeWolfe, my grad transfer from Fordham. She does a great job. She's very high IQ. She's an incredible scorer, but she has a great handle and great sense of the game. So she helps out a little bit. So it's kind of point guard by committee. Sony's used to it from having the experience last year. So she knows how to run sets. She knows what I'm looking for. So she stepped in that role as well. So, I'm trying to, and Maddie Westbell as well, even though she's a 4, I can initiate the offense and run it through her as well, because she knows my system too. So it's really point guard by committee. And so each day I try to give 8 Anna reps, and I try to get Sony reps to help us.
Well, and your depth obviously did get tested at the end of the year last year with both Olivia out and Dara Mabry was out, unfortunately, for even longer with the injury. But you do have a deeper roster this year. So do you kind of spend some time? I know, like when you open up against South Carolina, that's not the time to be testing rotations probably, but like the rest of November, does it give you some opportunities to sort of experiment with some different lineups and rotations and things like that?
Absolutely. I think, the beginning of the year, I'm still going to learn. I'm still going to be learning the team. We had a chance to go on a foreign tour this summer.
Right.
Had 2 games, but had a couple people that were out, honestly. So so got a chance to see some different looks together and just trying to find the right chemistry, the right five, and who meshes well with who. Like that's something that I'm gonna learn. I've been trying to do a little bit in the preseason, but I feel like because I have a lot of different variations and styles, I can actually test some different lineups. And I want to mention, like, we have another thing that you're going to see is we have better perimeter shooting. I've added 2 sharpshooters in Anna DeWolfe and Emma Risch from Florida, one of my freshmen. So that's really going to help. And obviously with Cass, the versatility that she brings, it's going to be fun.
And I mean, you've compared Emma Risch to Alicia Ratai, your teammate, one of the best 3-point shooters ever in women's basketball history. And you've compared Hannah Hidalgo to Skylar Diggins, one of the best point guards in women's basketball history. I mean, that's like pretty high step up, I guess, pretty high expectations going in.
Yeah. I mean, I think just being around, playing with Alicia, knowing the purity of her shot and the way that she can shoot. Like Emma, I've been so impressed. That's the number one thing. She's a specialist and she shoots. She's always shot ready. She's got a beautiful touch. And that's really exciting for me to see because I know that was something that I wanted to add to the roster as a great shooter. And so she's fulfilled that role. And honestly, and I'd never say those comparisons if I didn't see moments of it or spotlights of it when I'm coaching them or watching them play. But Emma does. She has an incredible shot, and I'm excited for everyone to see that. And then, obviously, I'm an incredibly close relationship with Skylar, and watching the progression of the program from adding her, Skylar, and what she did for our program, just from an energetic standpoint, from the intangible standpoint, her confidence and the way that she made everybody better around her, her tenacity and her swag really changed the program. And so that's why I compare Hannah to that, just because I haven't seen someone play with defense and that swag and since Sky.
Well, and obviously getting those players, recruiting is such a huge part of the success that you've had. Like when you look at what you've done over these first 3 years, almost you add all these McDonald's All-Americans basically, and most of them have been Gatorade State Players of the Year from whatever state they come from. I'm curious. So many of our listeners, viewers, fans are really into recruiting. They love the recruiting aspect of it, and I know recruiting is something that you're still very passionate about as a head coach. So I'm curious, kind of like when you go through the process. Could you go through the process, sort of identifying like how you go about the initial phases of identifying some of these players, and then just through the recruiting process, what that looks like to get them here to Notre Dame?
Right. I think number one is just like you mentioned, like identifying the right fit, the right fit for Notre Dame. I think that's the biggest thing. I have to find players that value education. They value the things that are important here to Notre Dame that make Notre Dame special and unique. And obviously it's having the best of both worlds, having a strong athletic program, but also having an incredibly strong academic, being an academic institution. So I have to identify players that align with that, align with our values. And then I kind of trickle down to finding the right pieces as far as like, I'm always trying to replace, point guards. I'm looking at every 2 years. I think post players, we're always looking for post players, always looking for the inside presence, and just trying to match what I need and what I know that I'll be missing within graduation. So that's a more positional approach for me for each year. We're losing 5 seniors or we're losing 3 seniors, like trying to replace that every year and just making sure I'm building my roster in a way that it's balanced. And then I like to balance just strengths, and weaknesses. I don't like bringing in a ton of players that are very similar. I like bringing different type of tools. And then once they get on campus, it's making sure that they mesh with the team. Chemistry is really important. I think for Notre Dame, the reason we've been really successful for so long, and what I've learned under Muffin McGraw is having the players, because those are the ones that are they're in the locker room together, having that bond, having that same like-minded spirit. That's important. So when I bring them on campus, I get a chance to be around them, get a chance to be around their families, and then just see personality-wise, is this a fit?
Well, and I think that when you look at, everyone talks about the transfer portal, and you've added some transfers. Obviously, you talked about Anna DeWolfe, Becky Obinma has come in. Dara Mabry was a
Mhm.
transfer, obviously, and some players like Kylie Watson, who you talked about. But I think it's interesting that as each year has gone by, you've lost fewer transfers, and this offseason you didn't have any go out. So does that kind of speak to what you were just talking about there with the chemistry of the team and the kind of players that you've brought in here?
It does. It speaks to that. And I was so proud of having my entire team be retained. Like that's really important for me. And in this whole space, every year you never know. And it's always at the end of the year. And I feel like when I talk to my colleagues and coaches, some of them, all they talk about is trying to re-recruit your own team, and trying to make sure the entire year it's a different level of coaching that you have to, or expectation, or whatever the word is. Like you're trying to make sure that trying to figure out if your team's going to come back as you're recruiting.
Right.
So that's, it's definitely difficult to be able to have to focus on that and trying to win. So having the entire team come back, like that was, for me, that was a big part of the success of last year. Is I got a chance to have my entire team. I knew who was coming back. I knew what to expect as we're growing. But my recruiting philosophy is I want to grow with my team. I want to be able to have them in as freshmen, and grow with them, help them develop, and then watch them reach their highest potential. And hopefully, if that's playing at the next level, that's what I'm looking forward to being a part of. But just growing with them is important to me. So I was extremely happy.
I'm curious, just on the recruiting aspect. One thing, NIL has become such a big part of college athletics just in the last few years because of where we are now. Does NIL come up much during recruitment and stuff like that?
It does. I feel like every family is different. Every family has different things that are more important to them, as far as the things that they're looking for in a university. So I feel like it's always in the conversation because it's something you have to touch upon because it's a recruiting tool for a lot of schools. So it's definitely something that you have to kind of express. But at Notre Dame, we're fortunate that the power of our brand is massive and it's a national brand. And, it's exciting to be able to talk about how unique and special that is. And the fact that we get a chance to use our trademark and the things that we can talk about that are beneficial for our student athletes to have more leverage in monetizing their name, image, and likeness. Like that's an exciting piece to talk about, but it's definitely something that's brought up. And like I said, like every family is different. And so we have families that we talk about it maybe a little bit more than we do other families. And then we have some families that don't talk about it at all. So everyone's different.
That trip to Paris is going to be here pretty soon. South Carolina, November 6th, of course, to open up the season. When we've talked before, you've talked about wanting it to be an experience for your team. And obviously that's a big part of something like this. How do you sort of balance, basketball business trip versus, not just being on vacation, I guess?
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely going to be probably a challenge a little bit, but I think we're going early, so that gives us a chance to really explore and have that incredible experience and be able to kind of take in the culture of France and Paris and, the Eiffel Tower and all these major monuments and places, then Notre Dame Cathedral, which is going to be really special for us to see.
Right.
And so we're going to have those experiences early on. We're going to do a community give back and have a clinic with some young kids. So that's going to be awesome for South Carolina and us to be able to mentor or give back in that way. Just have that one-on-one contact with us. I think that's going to be really cool. We have a lot of donors that are coming over, a lot of Notre Dame Club of Paris. Like there's so many fans and family that are going to join us for us to be a part of that. And then when we start getting closer, probably 48 hours into the game, and then it's going to turn into a little bit more business. It's always going to be business. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I do want them to experience, like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's our first collegiate men or women's basketball being held in Paris. And I understand the magnitude of that. So I really want them to embrace this opportunity first. And then, 48 hours, we'll start kind of shutting practice down, making sure that it's just tightening up everything around us so we can really lock in and focus on the task, because the task is to compete and, to come out victorious. So that's always we got to keep the main thing at some point.
That's right. Final thought. You touched on that trip that you made to Croatia and Greece, and obviously both being in Europe, jet lag was such a conversation when the football team went to Ireland. Did that kind of give you an idea, a really good idea, I guess, with this trip to Paris of just what, the kind of adjustments you need to make and those kind of things along those lines?
Absolutely, yes. We have an incredible performance team, and John Waggle, he has done a great job, and he works for our university, of understanding and knowing to help us to schedule out in advance. And we've kind of scheduled in like 3 weeks in advance of like the way that we're going to practice, days that we need to have off in order for us not to have jet lag. And he gave some great points on some things that the football team did that could help them, as far as like there's a Calm app, some meditation things about sleeping, different pockets of time, so we can educate our team of this is, you want to stay up this much, the day that we travel, everything is kind of planned in advance for us to have more for us to have like the time that we actually get to Paris, our bodies adjusting to the time change and
Right.
preparing for the game, like all those things. It's really, they've done a great job. The whole performance team and Jared, they've done a great job of really fine tuning our schedule to prepare us for that game and what we're going to do when we're over in Paris. So I'm very grateful that we've been very intentional to try to help them at least. And I think, the experience that our football team had and what we've learned from what they did over there it's definitely going to help us. And then, like you mentioned, being overseas this summer, we had a great, they got that experience of being 6 hours ahead and playing overseas. So they have the feel, I guess you could say. So that, I think that's going to help us.
Fighting Irish head coach Niele Ivey, always great to talk to you. It'll be it's coming, the exhibition game at the October 30th, Purdue Northwest, and then again the season opener in Paris, France on November 6th. Looking forward to it. Oh, an exciting time to get the season going. Thanks as always, Niele. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.